A wolfman is terrorizing my daughter, so we, my husband, my 3 years old, and myself, have recently moved back into my husband's childhood home. He lived here for 18 years. When he lived here as a child, he saw a wolfman standing in the doorway to his bedroom, but as he became older he started showing himself less and less. Now, our 3-year-old daughter is seeing the same thing. It sounds crazy. I feel like I can usually pick up on strange vibes in a house. I don't really feel anything bad here. My husband told me this story years ago when we first got together, so it definitely isn't something he just made up to match our daughter's situation, and he never told our daughter. Any advice? Am I getting paranoid, or there is something sketchy going on in my room? Okay, so I'm living in a small 2-bedroom apartment. I'm not going to lie, I like pretty much horror stuff, but sometimes, after watching, I get all paranoid. Almost every night when I go to bed and my sister is not around, I hear steps on the floor. Sometimes even things fall out of nowhere. I'm in a pretty skeptic family, so it's kinda in my blood to seek for a rational explanation for all this, but I can't. And I don't think it's my mind playing tricks on me, because when I go to my grandparents I don't hear that at all and nothing happens. I'm a little bit spooked. I am sorry if the story isn't scary enough for you, but it's real. Bet you $1 I can guess your address. Bet you $1 I can guess your address, the crazy stranger across the overcrowded train carriage said. I was slightly bored and fed up so early in the morning, so I said, "Go on, then." He looked me up and down with wild eyes which sparkled like atoms colliding. And he spoke with a chuckle and guessed correctly. But I didn't possess $1, I confessed, at least, not on me. Never mind, he cackled, dribbling into his beard, I got plenty already, and he opened his wallet to show it was bursting with $1 bills. And sure enough, when I got home from school that afternoon, my piggy bank next to my bed held exactly $1 less than it had held the afternoon before. Dog died and reappeared. My dog died 3 days ago from kidney stones. I can't sleep. I keep walking in circles and looking out the window hoping I will see his tail wagging like a helicopter and his big smile. I want to see him so badly and tell him I love him. My mom said she saw him in my brother's room and she thought she was going crazy and backed out of the room and went back in and he was gone. I want to see him. I don't know what to do. I want him back so badly. I was hit by a car last year and losing my dog hurts more. I would rather get hit by a car again than to lose my fur baby. Dog that saved my mom from a fire. My mom lived in an apartment with a few friends in the 70s that had a wood-burning fireplace. One evening while everyone was asleep, her roommate's dog was barking and going absolutely nuts. I was told the dog rarely made any noise at all. Her roommate woke up and found that the fire had never been put out and had caught the rug/wall/ and everything near it on fire. Everyone managed to get out safely and the fire was extinguished by the fire department. Fast forward a few years later when they were getting ready to move out. My mom snapped a picture of the fireplace, for one reason or another, and lo and behold you could see the face of the dog in the flames. The dog had passed away about a year before this happened. I guess he stuck around to make sure everyone would get out if there was ever another fire. Dude in my driveway, pretty basic, still creepy. Woke up at 2 a.m. and went to the kitchen. Glanced out the window and some dude was just standing in my driveway. We usually leave the kitchen window cracked a little for fresh air, so I slammed it shut as best I could, being 3 days out from surgery on my arm, and he just stared at me. I made a point of holding up the metal bar we keep by the door and called the cops. When they showed up they said there were only 2 prints in the dirt, no evidence of him walking up or leaving, just where he'd been standing. Update, we figured out who he is but bought how he didn't leave footprints. He is an RSO and thought a young girl lived here after seeing my friend and his daughter. He has been apprehended. Entity peering at me through a RV vent. I used to stay in a motorhome RV van front end, and above the front seats is a sleeping area, and directly above that is a vent that opens slightly at an angle, opens approximate 3 or 4 inches or so. Well, long story short, I was trying to sleep and I felt a bit of a rocking and heard snorting and scratching above. I thought there was something up in the loft part, so I took a few pictures in the dark with flash on, and I may have captured a pic of a demon or horseface creature or cryptid. Or some entity. IT seems to be peering at me through the vent. I tried messing with exposure and stuff on 3 pics, but one is OG. Fake taxi tried to entice me and my friend inside. It was cold, dark, and wet, the usual for winter in the UK. It was a small rural village in the north of England, and my friend and I were walking very drunk and very 13. Underage drinking is pretty normal here, down the main high street. What appeared to be a taxi cab, right size, right features, literally had taxi wrote on it, pulled up beside us. They asked for directions in exchange for a free lift. Of course, being drunk, cold, and stupid, I accepted the free lift. I went to open one of the back doors expecting to see the inside of a taxi. I didn't. There was nothing there, not even seats. Being in the condition I was, I did not question it. Thankfully, my friend did. She said he's a weird man with a weird car. We are not going in. If it wasn't for her, I would have got in. Let's not meet. Familiar voices calling for help, dog tags tingling, so I need some advice. I live in the backwoods of Napa, and yesterday while hiking into state game lands, I heard my nephews screaming for help. Mind you, I am 3 miles from any roads and they were miles away shopping. My dog was terrified. I was wary and ignored the yelling and just pretended it didn't happen. It went off and on for an hour or so and then silence. I continued my way back home through the woods when I was done. Last night, after a bunch of storms rolled through, I hear my dog's collar tags tingling outside. Like he's running, walking, all sorts of tingles. He was next to me, his collar off for the night. He then proceeded to go hide upstairs next to my dad for the night. He's never done that before. Am I experiencing a skinwalker? I feel like I led something home yesterday. Family bathroom proposition. I took my 5-year-old son to the swimming pool at a beautiful community rec center. We were done swimming, so my son and I went into the family bathroom to get changed. We went into a large private bathroom inside of the locker room. We had only been in there for maybe 2 minutes when someone knocks on our door and a deep man's voice says, "Would you guys like some company in there?" I was instantly put into fight or flight mode, but we were only half dressed. So I yelled, "Absolutely not." No response. Silence. So, I threw on my dress and sandals, wrapped my kid in his towel, and we ran out to the front desk. I reported it to the people at the desk and asked for a guide out to my car. They didn't seem as distraught as I was. What was this guy's big idea? Definitely creepy AF. Has anyone else ever had an experience where they've gained time? I've had the same morning routine for years. I wake up at 8:30, make and eat breakfast, shower, do my hair and makeup, leave the house at 9:30 and get to work around 9:45 for a 10 a.m. open. One day some time ago I woke up, did my entire routine, went to work, and opened the store. About 15 minutes later I had a twinge of suspicion that something wasn't right. I checked my phone and it was 9:15 a.m. I had seemingly done my entire morning routine that always takes me an hour in about 15 minutes. I've thought about it many times and can't justify any of it. The alarm on my phone that had woken me up was set for 8:30 as it always is. It was nowhere near daylight savings time. I can't think of any other explanation other than that I just happened to be moving impossibly quickly that morning. Here's a weird one. Anyone else hear little voices in their pillows at night? As a kid, long and short of it is when I was a wee little lad, I could literally hear something like tiny voices in my pillow at night. They sounded like elves, or fairies, or just very small little people having conversations. They were super high pitch, like barely audible, but I tell that whatever they were tiny things. I never could understand it. It was like a different language for sure, and I could just barely hear it, and I wouldn't be able to hear it all the time. But I remember, I told my second grade teacher about it and she looked at me like I was crazy, and then I couldn't hear them after that. I could have been hallucinating, but I remember being awake hearing them, not drifting off or anything. I remember, if I laid super still and calm I could hear them better, but I was awake, I remember it. Anyone else? I felt a hug from my deceased best friend the night before receiving worrisome news from my doctor. I was lying in bed relaxing and waiting for sleep. I was using a coloring app on my phone, which is my go-to way of relaxing. For a millisecond I got a sense of calm and a feeling of being a teen in the UK. I had spent 4 years there as a young teen and I met my best friend, Elle. She passed away in 2017 at 52 years old. Even though I moved home to the US at 16, we remained best friends and in weekly contact through all those years. After that very brief sensation of calm I felt a warm, tight hug. I believe this was Elle giving me a comforting hug and letting me know she's still there caring for me. I like that you are tainted. I work in furniture sales. I had an about 55-year-old man come in and just stare at me as I'm working with different customers for about an hour. Several of my male coworkers asked him if he was okay, if he needed anything, ECT, and he said no each time, and continued to stare at me from about 10 feet away. Okay, I finish with my customers and he immediately comes up to me and asks me to show him beds. So I show him a bunch, then tell him the store is closing and he had to go. As we are walking out, he starts making comments about my nose piercing and then made the comment, "I like that you are tainted." Weirdest situation I've ever been in. I've been hit on a lot in different jobs, but I've never had someone so obviously stare at me and make such a weird comment. Totally creeped me out. I think my dog still visits. My dog passed away on New Year's Day. I had her for about 12 years. She was a little dachshund Maltese. The day after she died, and several times since, I keep feeling like a little dog is jumping up on my leg or walking around on my bed. I don't know if I'm just imagining it because I miss her or if she's still hanging around. My big dog hops around occasionally like she's trying to play with a small dog like she used to with my little dog. Sometimes I swear I can hear a sound like when she used to try to get into the bathroom with me because she was pretty clingy. Has anybody else had experiences like this? Can dogs even have ghosts?